Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Do we have audio? I think we do. Do we have visual? Are we public? Looks like we're public. Oh, there we go. Welcome to September's live stream. This is open to the public. Let's real quick go over some community guidelines. Oops. I just ask that you keep it kind. You know, you can criticize all you want to, as long as you're not using language that you wouldn't use with your mother. As long as you're not, well, actually, you know, these live streams, I don't mind a little trolling. It keeps it interesting. How's everybody doing out there? Hope you're all good. Hello, Teddy. Welcome. Which reminds me, you know, I hope everybody's doing well in their journey to learning correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar, if that's what you're of the volition to do. And if you want to fast track your learning, of course, I offer workshops. Everything I teach in the workshops is available on this YouTube channel for free in over 1,000 videos. But if you really want to learn it, it's just like taking a course in college. We set it up, we do hour-long workshops. Do as many or as few as you need to do to learn this, and we'll get it done. But it's up to you. So I'll give some people, I guess we got like 4 or 5 viewers so far here. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. That's what these public live streams are for. I'm going to go through a couple things real quick while we wait to see if there are any questions. First thing I'd like to mention is, if any of you think that I've gone silent or stopped talking about Jason Paul Grievous, you know, that guy from across the pond, the scammer, the grifter. If anyone thinks that I've gone silent on him because of something he's done, that is not true and not correct. I still think he's a fraud and a scam, and he is. I've just taken down his videos from my channel that I published criticizing his grammar and auditing his grammar because he has gone through fiction legal channels to try and get copyright strikes on my channel. So I just moved everything over to Rumble. So I still have the stuff published on the internet. It's still in the public. It's just on Rumble. It's not here. It's on Rumble where he can't touch it. Because he's kind of being a little Nancy, as we would say. I would use stronger language, but not in this stream. But that's how folks like him work. You know, that's how the fiction works. If you draw attention to something they don't want you to draw attention to, they will go through all these channels to try and stop you, to shut you up, to shut you down. That's why they call them whistleblowers. Now, I'm pretty far from a whistleblower. All I did was audit somebody's grammar. Jason Paul Grievous claimed to have some sort of authority over the 1 by 1.9 flag and correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar. So if you claim that, then that means that you're claiming that you have closure on this grammar, that you know how it works and what it does. All I did was audit a document of his and show that no, he doesn't have closure on it. He's scamming people. He's accepting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds, dollars, whatever, peddling stuff that's not true. And I showed that. And he didn't like that, so he filed a copyright strike which is almost expired, by the way. So it really didn't have much of an effect other than to get me to move my videos and safeguard my vessel. So it is what it is. But I have not gone silent on the guy. He's still a scam, a grifter, just like the Jake Single guy that he's partnered with, that he's mates with. From my viewpoint, they're POSs scamming people. Period. End of story. All right. Now we can move on to something else. Oh, yeah, I heard something. I don't know if it's happened yet or what. I heard something that Russell J. Gould is having giving some sort of 3-hour talk in Texas. I think Austin, Texas. As a part of a group of people who are giving seminars. And I saw the price tag was like $300 and some for 3 hours. Now, I personally, now if he was near me somewhere, like if he was doing something in Detroit, I would most likely shell out that $300 just to go physically to that place to see if I could talk to the guy, just to do it, just to see what he's like face to face and see how that would go. I would do that. As you may or may not know, what was it, last year or the year before, I went to Arizona and I knew I was there for a week and I knew I was like an hour, at least an hour, at most an hour or at least a half hour away from where he lived in Arizona. I'm not going to give out any details like where exactly that would be. I know where it is, but I'm not going to say where it is. So I put out public YouTube videos tagging him, tagging his people, multiple videos every day saying, hey, Russell, I'm here in Arizona. If you want to meet up, we can meet up. I will drive to wherever location you want me to drive to, whether it's a public location or you want me to come to where you are, wherever it is, send location. We can meet up if you want to talk about anything. And no response, nothing. No one said anything for that whole week of me posting like shorts and things and tagging him on different platforms, all different platforms, trying to get some sort of something. But no. I even offered him a free workshop in person. But, then again, I can't really expect someone like him to do that. Why would he? Because that's kind of the route I would take, maybe, if I was him, because this goes into the whole YouTube social media content creator type of algorithm scenario, however you want to call it. Someone who has more subscribers or followers than you, if they don't like you, why would they even entertain you? They don't want to give you any publicity. So I'm guessing, this is just a guess, I'm guessing that's why he doesn't really ever mention me verbally in any video or acknowledge me, as he once did back in 2019. I think it was October of 2019. When he first started going public again a lot on podcasts, someone asked him, where can we learn quantum grammar? My name was the first name out of his mouth. He didn't mention Joey John Lester. He didn't mention anybody else. Who else would be teaching? Gordon Michael Schiller, Muriel Meta Biggs. Who else? He didn't mention anybody else. My name was the first name out of his mouth. And then when I didn't join his group and when I didn't follow along with the program, then the public bad-mouthing started. So it is what it is. Anyways, just saying that if he were to come to somewhere around Detroit for a lecture, I would probably shell out the money just so I could go see what would happen if he met me face to face. See if he's for real or not. I know he doesn't have closure on the grammar. I know he doesn't. And I can probably guess how it would go. And it probably, well, I don't even want to speculate on it. It would be fun and interesting, though, for sure. It would be fun and interesting. I don't cultivate confrontation, but if put in a scenario where I know that I'm 100% correct and I know I have a position to stand on, I don't shy away from it. And I actually go full force. Like, how do you say that? I send it. I full send it. So it would be funny and interesting, as I said. He is coming to Australia for a grift. Who is coming to Australia? Russell? Russell J. Gould's going to Australia? Good day, Jonathan Simon Bell. Welcome in. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your membership. I know that... Russell's going to Australia. That's very, very interesting. I'll share with you a little inside info that happened back in 2019, around that time. You know, that Russell, to my knowledge, it was 2019 or 2020. Somewhere around in that 365-day period, he was going through a divorce. Because I was privy to some video communications that he had with someone who wanted to hire Russell to do something in their country. Well, actually, they wanted to stop the implementation of 5G technology in their government, by their government. And I was privy to some of these confidential communications because this individual who wanted to hire Russell was a student of mine at the time. And I'm trying to do this without giving too much credentialing, identifying data. So in one video, I see Russell with a bunch of boxes behind him, and later found out he was going through a divorce. And that's when he went to live with Rachel Dara Prince in Arizona. But he, and also someone named Sergeant Robert Horton, was also part of some of the video call, was talking to this guy, this student of mine, and the student of mine had set up sort of like a kitty. You know, he had donors. He had one specific person who had donated a lot of money. What I think amounted to about $20,000 to stop this 5G. Pretty wealthy people. And they were talking to Russell, and Russell said that, you know, well, it'd have to cost this because I have to bring my security team, and he has a security team of, I want to say, anywhere from 6 to 9 former or retired Navy SEALs. I'm not kidding. And they were saying they don't accept like fiat currency and payment. They only accept gold or silver. And Russell said that he doesn't accept anything at all. He's doing it for free, but you have to pay the security team. So I think it came out to be about 16 or 17 grand that he was going to charge. Not he, but the security guy was going to charge for the tickets, for the hotels, for the rental cars, for the per diem, and all that. So whoever is bringing him to Australia must have a little bit of that. because I think the last time he was in Australia was March 28th of 2020. Seems to ring a bell in my mind because a friend of mine from down there, from South Africa by way of New Zealand, by way of Australia, went to a seminar that Russell had there with his security team and everything, where Russell supposedly captured the Australian flag. And I have the document of that as well, which of course there's no correct grammar on it, but you get the point. There was a reason for that, so to speak. I mean, whatever that is, whatever that did, I have no idea. I hope it helped somebody, You made 6,000 on YouTube. Good job. Odd why stays low, by my opinion. I have 10 minutes and forgive that I have to go with prior appointment. Wanted to say good day and wish all the best. You are well. Well, thank you very much, Jonathan. I appreciate that, Captain Tin Rib. Thank you. I hope everything's good with you as well. I think I have a notion as to why it stays low. And I don't know much about the social media stuff. I really don't. And people have tried to teach me. But I think it might be my, however you want to call it, old cantankerousness that I'm sort of reticent to learn it. Because I feel like when you have something, take crypto for example, there are so many hoops to jump through. It just sounds like a trap to me, like it's a trickery. It needs to be simple for me. Maybe I'm slow. I don't know. But it could be. But my theory as to why the view count has leveled off and that the subscribers have leveled off is because on this channel, I seem to have what are called, I can't use that word, non-active subscribers. So if I have over 6,000 subs, only about 50 of those are active. 50 to 100 of those are active on this channel. I guess I'm being modest about that number, but it's not, definitely not over 300 active people. So I guess that sort of kills the algorithm for a channel when it has inactive subscribers that don't click on your video, subscribers that don't like your video, don't click the thumbs up. I mean they can dislike it or they can like it. It doesn't matter. That helps to promote it. But if they don't do anything, they don't click on it, they don't have their notifications on or anything like that, then your channel gets pushed back as far as priority goes in feeds. It gets pushed back to make room for the channels that do have active subscribers and more active subscribers than you, and on up the line it goes. So that's why I think things are the way they are. You are on your own way. I see your way as correct. Well, thank you. I like to think the same thing as far as when we use the word correct, I'm using it in the context of grammar. My way is correct as far as along the path of correct grammar on this channel and what I teach. As far as anything else, that's open to interpretation. But as far as the grammar goes, yes, I tried it. That's another reason why this channel is probably, the growth has slowed down extremely. Because folks, when they realize what it takes to learn this grammar, they just go looking for something easier. Because this is not easy for most people. It wasn't easy for me. Whether it's just, they can say things like they don't have the time. When really, in life, you prioritize what is important to you. And if this isn't important, What can you do? Most people need a reason to learn it. Most people don't really have a tangible reason to learn it. They're just on the edge of speculation, like, oh, government tyranny, oh, bureaucratically getting raped, getting screwed over, taxes, mortgages, insurance, blah, blah, blah. They don't really have anything tangible until they get a summons from a foreign vessel and dry dock judge saying they got to come in for child support or divorce, alimony, something to do with property, whatever. Until it's that, then they have no use for it. And by then, it's probably too late. So I think that's why most people just shy away from it. And, of course, laziness. Even the people that do have time to do it rather spend their time studying Tartaria, or watching Taylor Swift turn into a reptile, or, some other such thing. Thank you. Harry Charles Rookslow, full stop. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. One of my best students. Best friend that I've never met personally, but I feel, brotherhood with the guy. He's an awesome stand-up guy, and he knows the grammar. And that dude ain't afraid of nothing. So he's a good guy to have on your side, and I appreciate him being on my side and being on this channel. See, that's when I was talking about meeting, if Russell J. Gould would have a seminar here in Detroit, that I would pay the money to go see him just so I could meet him face to face. That's the same kind of guy that Harry is. He'll just walk right up and to whomever. It's no... Because once you realize, the fiction tries to, in a lot of contexts, tries to intimidate you at every turn. You see this when you go into a foreign vessel in dry dock. And I know that Harry knows this because of some recent situations that have happened. That's their go-to to intimidate you. And if they can't do that, then they'll try just about every underhanded, shady trick that they can do to trip you up. I'm not going to go too much into that. I don't want to go into too much of the negative here. But that's the beauty of correct sentence structure, because if you have closure on correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar, then you have a position that you can hold. And it's, to use one of them their big words, it's unassailable. It can't be attacked. It's impervious to attack from the fiction because it is a fact. As the late, great DAVID-WYNN Miller used to say, fact and fiction cannot meet. They can't. They can't meet. And so the fiction will try at every single turn, every shady trick they can do to keep you in the fiction, or to put you in the fiction, to take you out of your jurisdiction, which is yourself. And they start to get you to believe that they have power or authority over you, which they don't. Well, that's, again, the thing about fiction, because fiction, if you participate with the fiction, with your contracts and stuff, which just about everybody does, I can't think of one person who does not contract in the fiction. If you can, put it in the chat, because I can't think of not one individual who is completely free of the fiction system. I mean, you can't really go down to the corner store and speak in quantum grammar and use gold to pay for your Snickers bar, can you? Exactly. They are trying to keep us in the world of assumption and presumption, but do not like being pulled into the fact. Because they know, and this is a guess on my part, but from my experience and what I've seen, they know that they will be basically like the emperor with no clothes if they step up onto the geometric level playing field of contract. Because there's no room for speculation. Everything is what it is on the geometric level playing field of correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar, contract. The facts are the facts. Contract is by consent. They don't want that. Because for them, contract is usually by coercion, if you know what I mean. They force you to do something. Because they have the power to do that, because they have the guns and clubs, meaning they have let me rephrase that. They have the temporary power to do that. They have the temporary power to force you, throw you in a jail cell at the worst that they can do. Most likely, though, if you are correct in your volition, correct in your grammar and everything else, you have all the mechanics down and you have hurt no one, there is no trespass on your part, most likely you will be out of that jail cell within 24 hours because they can't hold you. There's no logic to hold you there, even in their fiction system. Usually. It's all very, very temporary power. But they use that to try and scare you, to frighten you. They can go after things like your fiction bank account. Why do you think they want everything to go electronic? Why do you think they want you to use debit cards and credit cards and link your bank accounts to this, that, and the third? Because rest assured, if Amazon Prime has access to your bank account info, if your car insurance company has access to your bank account info, you have automatic pay set up. If you have a job that has direct deposit into your bank account, what makes you think the government, the Fed, doesn't have that? They do have that. And what makes you think, what's stopping them from coming in and taking all of your money out of there? What is stopping them? What if they just say, well, you owe this on taxes? And then you say, well, I did know that on taxes. That's not true. And then they say, no, it is true right here. Then you have to fight that, which costs more money. The last thing that they want is a win-win situation, which is correct sentence structure is pretty much predicated upon a win-win situation. Contract is by consent, therefore both contract parties win. It's not about winning and losing. Now, I know the saying, win or lose by how you choose. I like to cultivate a slightly different mentality when it comes to contract. I like to cultivate win-win, contract by kindness. Everybody agrees, everybody benefits, let's go. What's wrong with that? But the fiction is different. There's always some little trickery involved. There's always some shadiness. Not to mention the adverb, verb, adjective, pronoun, fiction, babble, bullshit that they peddle as grammar in all their documents. You ever notice how in court documents, dockets and things like that, you read it and it looks like pseudo correct sentence structure. So when they want to speak in legalese and try and be fancy, they try to mimic correct sentence structure. Whether that's knowingly or not, I have no idea, but it's hilarious. Especially if you look at, say, real estate contracts from the late 1800s or however far back you can go, you will see something that looks like it's quantum grammar. The sentences will start with prepositional phrases, and then it'll have an article, and then it'll have a noun. I'm using fiction terms here. You'll see that. But it's not correct sentence structure when you really look at it. But it looks like it. Isn't that interesting? All right, last thing I want to talk about, which has nothing to do with correct sentence structure, but it does have to do with contract. I'm going to tell a little story that's been in the news for like the past week, where a quote-unquote professional wrestler was brutally attacked by a mixed martial arts fighter. Some of you may have heard about this. Because I'm a fan of mixed martial arts and boxing and wrestling, not so much professional wrestling anymore. I was a fan of it when I was a lot younger, but I don't really follow it anymore. But I'm familiar with the jargon. All right. Professional wrestling, first of all, I want to say, is not fake. Those people go in there, they're physical, they do get hurt. They are athletes. They have to train to do what they do, to be able to make it look like something violent is happening, but yet not hurting their opponent. Yes, the outcomes are predetermined. It's sports entertainment, just like the NFL. The outcome is predetermined. That's what sports entertainment is. Sports that entertains. So this fellow, this young 25-year-old man named Raja Jackson, was at some independent, as Jim Cornette likes to say, mud floor wrestling show in California. Raja Jackson was backstage or in the staging area where he shouldn't have been, because only professional wrestlers, to maintain kayfabe and things like that, would be in that area. But they let this Raja Jackson back there, who is a streamer also, and he's the son of Quentin Rampage Jackson, who's one of the greatest mixed martial arts fighters of all time. I love his style of fighting. He fought him. Well, I first saw him in King of the Cage versus Marvin Beastman Eastman way back when. And then he fought in other promotions, including Pride and UFC. I think he was actually UFC light heavyweight champion. He fought the best of the best. And, that's his son. Totally different people and personalities. So Raja's back there, supposedly. Who knows why he's back there? You have to think, if you're a guy that's an athlete, even if you're not well known or anything, but you know what professional wrestling is about, right? You have to. Why? First of all, why would anybody let him back there in the professional wrestling promotion? Why would anyone let an outsider back there? And number two, how could Raja not know how professional wrestling works? So he goes up and confronts some big wrestler. I don't know if the guy's a professional wrestler or not, but his name was Psycho Stu. And Psycho Stu says like, "Oh, you don't know who I am?" And he takes a beer can that appears to be almost empty and whacks Raja over the head with it. Now, in professional wrestling, it wasn't a prop can. It was a real can. But the way he did it, it was with the side. And it's just like going like this to crush the can. I'm sure Raja's been hit way harder than that in his life. And it just makes a sound, and then you see the beer fly, and it's theatrical, but it's not damaging. So if Raja was of the volition to be a part of that promotion and do some sort of spot or angle that night, he should have known this. And if he didn't know, then it was up to the people around him, if they are professionals, to smarten him up to what's going on. But it's kind of muddy as to whether that happened or not, because the way he reacted, he did not sell the beer can hitting him in the head. Because normally if a wrestler gets hit with something like that, they'll go, grab their head and duck down and act like they're hurt. Well, Raja didn't do that. Raja went forward and got in Stu's face. And Stu's was like, well, this isn't, how it was supposed to go. Doesn't this guy know what's going on here? And then someone steps in and says, Raja's blah, 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 this, that, and the third. And so immediately Psycho Stu starts apologizing. So, I'm sorry, I didn't know. I thought you were part of this. I apologize. And he sits down, completely non-confrontational, completely apologetic. Eventually, they shake hands. And Raja seems to be okay, like, oh, now I understand. You know, it was this little spot you're working. Because then one guy says, oh, we're always working. In wrestling, when you say something's a work, it means it's not a real volatile situation. If it's a shoot, then that means it's real. It's a fight. It's like nothing's faked. So then another guy starts talking to Raja saying, we're going to work an angle where you jump in the ring during Psycho Stu's match and you can give him a receipt. Meaning you can get your get back. Stu hit you with a beer can, you know, an empty beer can or half empty beer can in the head. You can do something back to him now. And then he says, tag him good or something like that. So meanwhile, Raja is on the phone with his father, and his father is what the kids say, gassing him up. His father is calling him all sorts of names, saying, how could you let this guy hit you with a beer can? Are you some kind of little bee? You know, blah, blah, blah. You know, basically making fun of him. They hang up, and then Raja's still live streaming, and his chat is saying the same thing. And so Raja starts telling people what he's going to do. He's going to go in there and do it for real. People think I'm playing. I'm going to go in and do it for real. So then he gets a cue to go in. He runs in the ring, grabs Psycho Stu, hoists him up in the air, and slams him down on the mat. Psycho Stu, keep in mind, is a wrestler, a professional wrestler. I mean, in the sense that he's in there performing. He's not fighting for real. He's performing. So he doesn't fight it because he thinks it's part of the whole thing. He allows himself to be picked up by a smaller man and slammed. Thing is, when he hits the mat, his head hits the mat and he goes unconscious. Immediately knocked unconscious and motionless, defenseless. Raja then jumps on top of him and starts punching full force, throwing punches on an unconscious, helpless human being on the ground who was thinking that this was just a work. But it's not. Raja has now turned it into a shoot. And at first, some 17-year-old kid tries to pull Raja off, and he can't. Raja continues to pummel the guy. I think it's like 22 punches he threw, over 16 of which landed. Full force shots to a motionless, defenseless, helpless human being. Not moving, not fighting back, nothing. Finally, an adult wrestler comes into the ring, pulls Raja off. Now Raja tries to fight him, but he's not working. He's shooting because he sees his friend getting pummeled. His defenseless, unconscious friend getting pummeled. Which, think about it, folks. If he wouldn't have pulled Raja off of Psycho Stu, what do you think would have happened? I mean, Stu had like broken bones, jaws. He lost like a good percentage of his teeth. He ended up in the emergency room in critical condition. Anyways, so this guy's fighting with Raja, and Raja tries to punch the guy. So I think the guy has some grappling experience and fighting experience. He like headbutts Raja, and I think he bit him. And then a couple other guys come in, and that's it. You know, they get Raja out of the ring. Raja leaves. They allow him to leave the building. And as he's leaving, he's yelling things like, I'm not going to let anybody mess with me. They don't know who they're messing with. Like, he knows what he did, and he's not denying it. And then someone calls him on the phone and says, hey, you know, he's in critical condition. He's going to the hospital. And then Raja's like, oh, my bad. And so that's the scenario. And now his father, Rampage, is making excuses for him, trying to say that, well, if that guy wouldn't have hit him with the beer can in the first place, then this wouldn't have happened. So there's really no apology for or excuse for hitting someone who's unconscious. And I've heard, like the guy MMA Guru or whatever his name is, he's got a YouTube channel, calling Raja an animal, that animal needs to be behind bars. Now, I agree that the guy needs to be behind bars, has some kind of punishment for sure, because that is not the kind of person you want walking the streets that's volatile like that and go off the chain and hit someone who's not even moving or fighting back, who poses no threat. If this guy's supposed to be a mixed martial artist, a professional fighter, that's not very professional behavior, and that's not really how professional fighters, they're able to actually control their emotions. You fight mad, that's when dumb stuff happens, obviously. So that's sort of an insult to animals to call the guy an animal, because animals don't even do that. When the threat is ended, and if an animal has killed its adversary, it doesn't continue to fight it. It might start to eat it because it's hungry, but it doesn't continue to pummel it or whatever, scratch its face off even though it's already dead. No, they know it's dead. They know it's done. It's finished. The threat's gone. You know the threat's gone. If you've ever sparred or been in a street fight or fought or did jiu-jitsu and got someone in a choke, you know when they're unconscious. You know it. And then you let go. Otherwise, you have no business being there. And certainly had no business being in the domain of professional wrestling, mud floor weekend show or not. Okay. I was hoping to cover that in a Now Space News episode, but I haven't had the opportunity to do that, to make one, so I'm going to wrap it up here. We've gone about 45 minutes. Haven't seen any comments or questions lately, so now's your chance. If you have anything you want to talk about, anything you want me to talk about, anything you want me to address, go ahead. There probably won't be another live stream till the beginning of next month as well. Yeah. Appreciate everybody being here. Appreciate the cup of coffee from Harry. I appreciate all the support for the people that do support. Share the videos, like the videos, and things like that. Share the channel. Going once. Going twice. Jonathan, I just saw your comment. I appreciate your permission to use that comment in a comments video. Good on you. I appreciate that. And that'll be coming out in the next week or two. I'll make that video. Again, if anybody wants to learn correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar, email me at jasonmatthewg17@gmail.com. To apply for workshops, please include your full correct name. And we'll see what we can set up for you. It never ceases to amaze me. There are folks out there, still to this day, I get this scenario happening, where I'll get someone who's really serious about the grammar, and they'll get 6 or 7 workshops in. And they'll quit. They'll stop. They'll disappear. For whatever reason, they disappear. And it usually comes because as you go through the workshops, they get harder and harder and harder. The difficulty level increases exponentially, which is how training works. I mean, you don't start off at the most difficult level. No, you got to build up your skill and your knowledge so that you can progressively get better and better and better and better and better. I'm thinking of one individual in particular who showed a lot of promise in getting closure on the grammar. They were doing very well. And then when it got to like the 6th and 7th workshop, they started falling off. They weren't practicing. And that's, I've said this time and again, folks. When you're on the track to learning this grammar, it's like walking up a down escalator. The escalator's going down and you're trying to go up. If you're doing anything except putting one foot in front of the other, you're going down. You have to keep practicing and practicing so that you keep climbing and you don't lose anything. If you stand still, you go back down. You lose so much. And I think that's what happened to this guy. Between workshops, he just stopped practicing. Or he didn't practice the things I suggested that he didn't work on the things that I suggested he work on. And everybody has excuses. Oh, I didn't have time to do that. Oh, blah, 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 blah. It's your choice. Do you want to learn it or do you not? Do you want to invest the now space in it or not? And I've had people take 7 or 8 workshops and then come back to me 6 months later. They disappear and they come back and they start at ground zero again because they've lost everything. All the knowledge, I mean. Conversely, I've had 2 people who took time off and came back. Not only did they maintain their knowledge level, they actually got better. But in 8+ years, I've only had 2 people do that. Everybody else that takes time off and comes back usually has to start over. But again, everybody's on their own learning curve. It's contract is by consent. It's your choice. It's your choice to maintain the knowledge you have. It's your choice to increase the knowledge you have. It's your choice to forget the knowledge you have. It's all up to you. In the end, only you can prevent forest fires. All right. Thanks, everybody. This is, again, the public stream. So the chat and the stream will be available in the live stream tab of this YouTube channel in the public. Peace.